Dragons and riders are awesome powers on their own, but only with the help of common folk, and maybe some less common individuals, could they overthrow the power in Eragon. Thus, the Varden was formed. Today, we'll dive into the history of this resistance group before Eragon and Saphira ever came together. Welcome back, riders, to the Sword and the Ring, a place for all sorts of lore across Alagaesia, Middle-earth, Hogwarts, and a galaxy far, far away. If you are interested in those universes, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Thanks to all of you who have already done so. As I said, today we'll be examining the birth and growth of one of the key elements of the resistance to Galbatorix, the Varden. After the fall of the Riders and the loss of Illyria, Brom was left with little drive beyond revenge for the death of his dragon, Saphira. However, before he would go across the Empire to exact his revenge, Brom knew the only way to defeat Galbatorix was with a larger organization. He decided to found such an organization. He went across the land gathering exiles and freeing political prisoners to join together. The group grew into the resistance known as the Varden. Once the Varden had a solid foundation, Brom left to continue his quest of vengeance and left his friend Weldon in charge. Weldon led the Varden as they established and grew in secret out of Farthender's city of Trondheim. This growth led to a sizable force of arms and an incredibly widespread network of spies. This network of spies was largely successful in damaging the ranks of Galbatorix, as many Forsworn were felled with their help. Most notably, however, the spy network gained knowledge from Jihad the Merchant about a secret entrance into the palace of Eragon. Under the guidance of Jihad and Brom, the Varden developed a plan to infiltrate the castle and steal the 3 remaining dragon eggs. Agent of the Varden, Helfring, was sent to carry out the mission and rendezvous with Brom to deliver the eggs. For unknown reasons, the mission was only partially successful, as Helfring was only able to recover one of the eggs, and after a prolonged chase and Helfring's death at the hands of Morzan, the egg was successfully delivered from Brom to the Varden. At this point, many members of the Varden believed Brom to be dead at the hands of Morzan. Now, in possession of one of the remaining dragon eggs, the Varden and elves of Elismira were in heated discussion about what to do with it. From the Varden's perspective, they did not want an elven rider deciding the fate of Alagaesia, while the elves did not trust a human rider to be able to withstand Galbatorix's path. A compromise was finally reached where the egg would be ferried back and forth between the elves and the Varden by Arya, the daughter of the Elf Queen. Weldon, who led the Varden for 20 years, would sometimes travel with Arya, but eventually he was succeeded by Daenor to lead the Varden. Not much is known about Daenor's leadership other than one consequential decision. At this time, Daenor was aware that the Varden lacked much of any power in the form of magic and looked to change that fact. He recruited the twins, 2 powerful mages, to form and lead the magical arm of the Varden known as Duvrangargata. Of course, this would prove to be a pivotal decision in the fight against Galbatorix, but we'll get there with Eragon and Saphira later. After Daenor died, leadership of the Varden went to a very interesting character named Ajahad. While little is known of Weldon and Daenor's lives before the Varden, Ajahad's past is fairly well detailed for us. Ajahad was born as a member of the Wandering Tribes and married the cousin of the leader of the Inapushuna tribe. In some unknown series of events, the Wanderer eventually became the chief steward of one of the Forsworn's estates. He was forced to swear oaths of allegiance in the ancient language, and at one point met Morzan. He and his wife, Nadara, had a child they named Nasuada, while Ajahad was working for the Forsworn. An untimely death came for Nadara, and this spurred Ajahad to action. Likely due to the birth of his child and the loss of his wife, Ajahad's true name changed, and he was able to slip the oath he had sworn. During his escape with Nasuada, he was met by Durza, but was able to escape and even left a permanent scar on the Shade's blade, hinting at his prowess as a warrior. He fled to the Varden and quickly rose in status enough to take over leadership of the group. He was the leader when Saphira's egg was quote-unquote lost and Arya was captured. Also influential in the Varden was the Council of Elders. They were members of the Varden leadership who advised the leader and played a role in the selection of new leaders. By the time of Eragon, the council was filled with self-serving, power-hungry individuals less interested in the safety and success of the Varden than their own power. Sound familiar? The kingdom of Serta, and especially their king, were also critical to the success of the Varden. Serta was no match for the might of Galbatorix, but they were able to play a significant role in supplying the Varden with arms, armor, and information. Alright, that's about all the records have for us on the Varden before Eragon comes on the scene. Let me know what part of the Varden you'd like to join down in the comments. I'd personally want to be in the Spy Network. Anyway, I'll be with you next time on The Sword and the Ring.